Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor. This is your go-to show for your best bets ahead of the weekend. And this weekend, there truly is something for everyone. After we had the Aintree Grand National last weekend, we have the Scottish equivalent this time around. As well as that, we also have the Scottish Champion Hurdle and a couple of classic trials down at Newbury with a pair of Group 3 contests. And I'll be previewing all of these races in my usual company. We've been reunited in the studio with Declan Bricks of TheRaces.com and Sam Boswell of BetVictor. Sam, I trust you had a good trip up to Liverpool last weekend?
I certainly did, flying the flag for Noble Yates, who ran an absolute stormer in the National. Great ride from Sean Bowen and, some brilliant racing throughout the 3 days. You
also did tip up the winner, though. You're doing yourself a disservice. You did tip up Corach Rambler.
I had the 1-4, didn't I, in my 1-4, which I think was the most successful out of the three of us, so I'll claim that victory.
I had the 2-4 at least.
Okay, 2-4.
But, yeah, I think you win on that basis. But, Declan, it's just a wonderful time of year, isn't it, where we still have top-quality jump racing, but we're getting all of our flat clues for the classics then later on. So it's just a great time of year.
Yeah, no, it is a great time of year. I think it's also a bit of a weird time of year for punting as well. It's hard because you're coming to the end of the jump season. You know, horses have been on the go for a long time, and then the flat season starting. It feels like we're in a little bit of limbo, but as you say, when you teed us up lovely there, something for everyone this weekend.
Yeah, there is, and we're going to get cracking into previewing the action in just a second, but a reminder as ever that our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction anyway. And also do remember to like and subscribe to the The Races YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Right, let's get into the racing because we begin at Newbury with the Group 3 Fred Darling for 3-year-old fillies over 7 furlongs at 2:05. This, of course, being a 1,000 guineas trial. Wide open race, plenty of unexposed types. No surprise to see a Godolphin horse heading the market though, Declan, but who are you siding with?
Yeah, look, it's going to be it's a very, very open race, so I think the market will be key as well, just to give extra clues on how those horses have wintered over the winter and whatnot. As you say, very, very open. I just came down on a Remarque of Rafe Beckett's. She's a once-raced daughter of Kingman, who I thought was really impressive when she broke her maiden at Salisbury at the end of last season. She just looked like a filly who could be pattern class, and I'm delighted to see Rafe is starting her off here. Got lots of experience that day in among horses, which I like because obviously she's inexperienced. She's only had the one run. She travelled on it, but what really set her apart was how she hit the line. She hit the line like a really good horse, like a horse could even stay a mile and maybe a little bit further. That's going to be no bad thing because the ground at Newbury is soft, good to soft in places with maybe a little bit of extra rain coming. She hasn't run on ground this soft, but she's by Kingman, and the distaff side of her family all have handled soft ground as well. So yeah, I do like her. I think she's drawn in 5 in and around plenty of the pace as well, which should suit. And Rafe Beckett is a master trainer of fillies and has won this race 4 times in the past. So yeah, it's going to be Remarque for me.
Yeah, and Declan makes a really solid point there, though, Sam, about the ground this weekend, because we are expecting softer conditions at Newbury at the time of recording. That's the way it's looking as though it's going to go. So you're going to have to factor this in with lots of these inexperienced fillies.
You are, and I've kind of bucked the trend going the opposite end to my selection compared to Declan's, and I'm going for Magical Sunset, who comes into the race carrying, I think it's fair to say, a bit more experience than most in the field. She was pretty busy, 5 runs at 2, and she won on debut, so first time out doesn't concern me. She then disappointed a little bit and then was quite unlucky at the Curragh before bouncing back to winning ways. And the run at Newbury, the last win she picked up in October, was seriously impressive to my eye. Ammo Racing absolutely flying at the moment. It feels like anything in those silks is probably going to get back. So potentially you might see this price shortened from around 5 to 1. But I thought as well it was quite interesting. Kevin Stott's probably had the pick of the rides between the pair in here. Roger Varian obviously has a runner for them as well. And this horse is just slightly shorter. And I think if you look at the last 2 winners of the race, both of them carried a bit more experience into the race. I think they've had 3 and 5 runs respectively at 2. Whereas the inexperienced horses in here, that's why I want to take them on. I don't think the ground will be an issue either, having run reasonably well on softer conditions.
I agree with you on the experience angle, but not with the same horse. I thought that the pair of R2 horses should really be vying for favouritism, but given the connections of the current favourite, it makes sense why she's at the head of the market. But I am siding with Swing Along with the experience angle because, as you say, when you look back through recent winners of this race, experience has proven pretty key. And obviously on official ratings, that Swing Along should really be going very close in this. And I don't have too many issues for her over this trip either, because when she won the Group 2 Lowther Stakes at York, she set that really strong pace there. It was running a good time, but she was still hitting the line strongly. And at that point, I thought, oh, she'll have no problem going up in trip. But it made sense, the fact that their minds were made up to go them for the Group 1 Cheveley Park at the end of the season, given that win. She wasn't quite seen in the same form there because she just couldn't dictate. But here, don't have too many issues of her over this trip with the experience as well. And she just sets quite a high standard for the others to have to improve to meet. So swing along for me.
Remarque for me, please.
And Sam?
Magical Sunset.
Wonderful. And do let us know your own selections in the comment section below. Now we're going to move on to our next race, because it is the next race at Newbury. This is the Group 3 Greenham Stakes for 3-year-olds again over the straight, 7 furlongs at Newbury. The turn of the colts this time around at 240. Chaldine makes his reappearance start as a hot favourite to take this en route to the 2,000 guineas. And it's pretty much an each way price about the rest of the field. So Sam, how are you playing this one?
Exactly how you're suggesting here, looking at anything but the favourite. I have a huge amount of respect for the favourite, but a horse like this first time out is potentially I think it's fair to say, a deep enough race. You know, there's a few in here you could make cases for. I'm a massive fan, though, of Streets of Gold. Just continued to improve, and great placement from Connections last year. Picked up a couple of those valuable sort of sales races, and, you know, the one concern I suppose I'd have is I read the comments from the trainer about the softer ground. Yes, the horse won at the Curragh on soft, but didn't seem to enjoy it, so I wouldn't want to see it go past soft. But I think Irish soft at the Curragh probably means you can handle more or less anything, if we're being honest. Horse carries an unbeaten record here into the race, and will need to take another step forward, but I definitely think that's possible. And, you know, I really am keen. Trainer form, hasn't had a winner recently, but has had a couple of placed efforts, so I'm not too concerned. I think it's wide open, though. I think you can make cases going through the field for plenty of them, but that's kind of where I ended up at a double-digit price.
Yeah, we did hear that, though, an interview earlier on in the week, the fact that all horses from this yard are seemingly needing their first runs, but he's a talented type anyway, isn't he? So good. Each-way alternative are we going with?
Certainly.
Each-way alternative to Chaldine, though, Dec. Where are you looking?
Yeah, I'm going to go each way as well, just because I think Chaldine makes the market here. Look, he's definitely the horse to beat. Really likeable horse. Last year, winner of the Acomb, the Champagne Stakes, and then the Dewhurst. Got a lovely way going out in front. Definitely the horse to be. I'm not sure he should be quite as short as he should, but so I think he makes the market for a good each-way bet. And I actually like Knight here, course and distance winner. He was a very impressive winner of the Horace Hill here last season. Although he started late in the year, he looked like a quick learner to me and quite sharp. He impressed on debut at Yarmouth in a really tactical race, looking like he wanted a much stronger gallop. But I liked he was obedient. He listened to his rider and he came back and he settled. Then when he went to Newbury, he just looked far sharper, travelled with so much class on heavy ground. The ground this weekend's going to be no issue to him at all. And if you look at him physically, he's quite low set with a kind of a strong action in front. I think that kind of physique tends to handle those softer conditions well, and that looks like he's going to handle it fine. I think the race sets up nicely for him in terms of pace as well. He's a horse who travels strongly. James Doyle's going to ride for the first time. I think James hasn't ridden him yet, but his style will suit him very nicely. So yeah, it's going to be Knight for me in what is an open race. But look, Chaldine, without a doubt, is the horse to beat.
Now, I feel like there's no point in me really adding anything extra, because it's Knight for me as well, where I agree with the pair of you two, where Chaldine is evidently the horse to beat, but I have no interest in backing him at that price first time up. We know that flat trainers, more so than jump trainers, don't mind having their first starts of a season with a horse undercooked with bigger targets than in mind. So I'm also going with the each-way play with Knight. I adore this horse. I can't wait to see how he's physically progressed, because he was quite a sizable type last year. So to actually hopefully to have filled that frame with Yarmouth form, which is form never to underestimate. Constantly it's overlooked, Yarmouth form, but it never is. And then to run on his second start over this course and distance in the Group 3 Horace Hill Stakes, where he handled the soft ground on that occasion so well. And like you say about his action, I have no concern whatsoever about the ground. And hopefully, if others don't handle it, he should be able to power through it. I think he's a really classy type, and I think he'll be getting further than in time. But for now, 7 furlongs, first time out. Knight for the pair of us two. Sam, just to reiterate.
Streets of Gold each way.
Wonderful. And again, do let us know your own selections for the race in the comments section. Now we head north because we are going up to Ayr and we begin with their big race. This is a 2023 renewal of the Scottish Grand National, a premier handicap chase for 5-year-olds and over just shy of 4 miles. Kitty's Light heads the way in a bid to go one better than he managed in this race last year when finishing second to his own stablemate, but that was off of a £3 higher mark, so that evidently makes him look very well treated, and it just looks like Christian Williams can gain another success in this race, Declan. But how are you playing it?
Yeah, look, this is a hugely open race, obviously, like most nationals are. It's a race, actually, kind of don't be afraid to have a go at a horse at a big price here. Plenty of big price winners of this race in recent history, you know, a couple of 33 to 1 shots, 25 to 1. I even think there was a 40 to 1 shot this year. But the pin came down on Elvis Mail, who I thought was maybe unexposed over this kind of trip, and he just looks like he was worth a go over an extreme trip. He's got a love affair with 2 tracks, this horse, Ayr and Kelso. I think he's been to Ayr 6 times and he's won here 3 times. So that's another little kind of feather in his cap. But I just love, he looked in great order when he won at Kelso the last day. I loved how he travelled through the race, got into contention very easily, and under Bruce Lynn he just, you know, he travelled all over the runner-up who'd been in good form, half shot, and as well he lengthened the way after the last, like a horse who could go further, pricking his ears. I don't think he was a tired horse. As I said, he's unexposed over this trip, trained by Nick Alexander, who had a bit of a quiet spell earlier in the season, which I'm hoping means this horse, although he started early, he's a little bit fresher because he wouldn't have had a hard race. He's a bit of a character, though. He's watch him at the biggest worry with him in some ways is the first fence.
Yeah.
He's wild. I don't know what's wrong with him. He just dives at a fence. It's like he loves the game, and he's like, phew, yeah, I'm gone. So Bruce Lynn's going to have to borrow some of that glue from Animal Rising last week. Get stuck into him, hand on the nail, neck strap, the whole lot. As long as he makes it over the first, I think he'll run well. Enough
glue to go around by the looks of things anyway. And sorry to butt in there, Sam, because I totally agree with Declan about Elvis Mail. And you say about going down to the first. Well, we saw that on his penultimate start, didn't we, when he unseated at the first at Cheltenham. What a massive deflation that was. But he soon made amends, though, last time out, as you say, because he just relished going back over the larger obstacles with the step up in trip as well at Kelso. And he just looked in really good order with himself. Coming into this race on the back of a win is evidently no bad thing whatsoever, as recent renewals have taught us as well. My only concern I was thinking about, I do think he's a better horse with cut in the ground, but he has run well on good to soft at this track as well previously. So hopefully, even if it is the back end of the season, if Connections really do think that the ground has quickened up too much, then they just won't run him. But I'm not too perturbed by the ground, whatever it turns up as, really, for Elvis Mail. So yeah, we're both going for a big play stab to take on Kitty's Light. For all that, I do think that Kitty's Light is very much the one to beat.
Good. Because that's the winner, Kate.
Sometimes, you up.
Sometimes we overcomplicate these things, I think. We're all really guilty of it. I don't know how Christian Williams managed to plunder a big pot in the Idle Chase and bring this horse here off a £3 lower mark. I mean, you go back through the form of last season, it did something similar, obviously second at Kempton before going on and running second in this race behind a stablemate that was a brilliant, brilliant horse. I really, really like his chance, I should say. Monbeg Genius is the interesting horse here because he's going to make the market. I think we're going to get a bigger price possibly than we displayed on the graphic come the day, especially if Oscar Elite goes well earlier on in the card, because it's that Ultima form, isn't it, that I think people are tying into and getting really excited about. But at around 9 to 2 at time of recording, Kitty's Light for me. I think sometimes I'm guilty of this as well. You try and look outside the obvious. Jumping will need to be better, I think it's fair to say, but I thought that was a little bit of a case of a one-off, and you've had plenty of time. That was obviously February. I'm sure Christian's got plenty of schooling in. I'd just give a quick mention to another one in there at each way price. Under supervision for the Twist and Davis team, ticks an awful lot of boxes. I think he's about 20 to 1, and I thought that was possibly an each way dart if you didn't want to be boring like me and tip up what will probably be.
Don't talk to me about that horse. I'm still not over him losing the Grimthorpe Chase.
He's your cliff horse as well, is he?
No, he's not a cliff horse, but I was all over him that day, and he did everything right, looked in superb form, and he got chinned by a big price. So, yeah, thanks for reminding me of that.
That's all right, yeah. He's just reliving the horrors again. If he goes and wins this, and it'll just compound that further. So he's hoping that under supervision goes and wins just to spite Declan. Right, we will move on, though, to the Scottish Champion Hurdle up now. This is a limited handicap, a Grade 2, 4-year-olds and over 2 miles, coming up at 2:25 at Ayr. A wide open renewal, plenty of talented performers set to line up, though, Sam. So who are you siding with?
Yeah, really interesting race, this. And if you can find the winner, you'll be getting a nice price because it looks so competitive, doesn't it? doesn't it? But Kerry Lee for me, and Namone Lion, who arrives here, you go back through the French form when he was on the flat, and he was a fair performer at that level, second in some really nice races. I thought since joining Kerry, been pretty decent enough. I thought the Hereford win was nothing special when you go back through the form, but the run behind Timorous in the Tolworth was decent, and then obviously winning last time out, getting the better of Colonel Harry, who I know is a horse that the Snowdon team have a lot of time for, and confirming that form. And I just think that mark of 135 looks fair. There's a few in here that I'd probably want to question a little bit, and Kerry's ticking over nicely enough with a select group of runners at the moment. So yeah, for me, I thought there was a cracking each way steal of a price.
Oh, steal of a
Proper
price
thievery.
then. Proper thievery. That's what we like around here, to be fair. We've all been guilty of that at some point on this show already. So, Declan, are you also looking likewise?
I'd echo a lot with what Sam said. He was my second pick in the Kerry Lee horse, but I just sided with Soaring Glory, who I thought of 143 is certainly handicapped to go well again. You know, this horse has been competitive in much better races off 147. Obviously, a former Betfair Hurdle winner. He's run well in stronger editions of the Betfair Hurdle as well. Even ran behind Epatante in a Grade 1 level in a Christmas Hurdle once upon a time. And, you know, other big handicap form in like races like the Jerry Field. And look, this season clearly hasn't gone according to plan. He's only had 2 starts and they've aborted the chasing campaign. But I'm hoping that means he's coming here fresher than most. He's only had 2 starts. I think the key actually in some ways to his chance is one, getting back on better ground, but 2 is actually the presence of Highway 102 and the Paul Nicholls horse, Roband. I think he needs a gallop to run at. He thrives off a strong gallop. Sometimes when he's been beaten, he was beaten in the Jerry Field a couple of seasons ago because it was a real tactical race. I hope they go a good gallop and it just sets it up nicely for him. Look, off 143, he is very well handicapped. And it was interesting when this market first opened, you know, 3 and 4 weeks ago, straight away that the day was the market opened, he was well backed, and he's been continued to be well backed. So I'm hoping it's been a case that he's going well. When he did run the last day at Newbury, there were signs of life, shaped an awful lot better than the distance beaten on a day when the weather was horrible at Newbury. Plenty of positives there, but the main thing is the 143 rating and the pace to run at.
I'm hoping there's going to be a good pace in this race as well, because this race does tend to go to horses who come from mid-division or further back as well. And like you say, we've definitely got the pace angles in this year's race. I just hope that Anna Bonina, who won this race last year, she's been ridden more prominently this season than she was last year. So I'm slightly wary of that, but I'm hoping that they're just going to elect to sit there with going for this race for the second year running after she won it last year. And we know that last year she won it off of a mark of 130. She's now running off of a £12 higher mark, and she carries the Irish tax, of course, but she ran a solid race last time out, I thought, when 9th in the county. The sharper 2 miles on better ground should be right up her street anyway, and it was always going to be the plan for her to come to this, so I think she'll win it again. But Sam, to reiterate.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Kerry Lee's horse, Namone Lion, but I do like yours and I like Dex, so I'll probably be having a very small try-cast.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, we're going then for the big swing, though, but Declan, main play.
Yeah, Soaring Glory for me, please.
All right, and Anna Bonina to win it for the second year running for me. Again, do let us know your own selections. We're going to head over to the Sky Pad now, where I'm going to get the lads' best bets for the weekend. Right, now we're on to the important part, the time where we're going to put our money where our mouths are, where we're going to be giving our best bets for the weekend. So our nap, next best and our long shot. Declan, you know the score, you're up first.
Yes, a mixed bag for me this week. The nap is going to go over jumps at Ayr. It's going to be Balco Coastal. I think there's 2 keys to this horse. 1 is the drop in grade after his good run in the Turners at the Cheltenham Festival, and 2 is a flat track. I think the key to this lad is a flat track. I think we saw that at Sandown earlier in the season, where he looked like he was going to give Jerry Coloma a serious race. Form which has obviously worked out since, but once he met the proper hill rising, he went backwards. He's a lovely, if you get a chance to go down and have a look at this horse in the parade ring, go down and have a look. He's a lovely big strapping horse, a beautiful horse. Maybe I want my head checked, putting up a Son of Coastal Path as my nap, but I think this is a big drop in class for him, to be honest. In the Nicky Henderson team, you won't get much better. The next best we've discussed already is Soaring Glory in the Scottish Champion Hurdle. Had a bit of a stop-start season, but it means he's fresh. fresh, going to get some pace to run at it, which I think is key as well as getting back on some good ground. And then at Newbury, we're going to go for the long shot. Embrace for the Owen Burrows team, going to be ridden by Jim Crowley, a well-bred daughter of Lope de Vega, who hasn't run on the turf yet, but she had 2 starts on the all-weather. It was a big eye-catcher at Kempton at the end of last season, but then they got her out again at Wolverhampton and she bolted up. Looked like the penny had really started to drop. The way she quickened like a smart horse. It's a big step up in grade, no doubt, but she's got a good pedigree, and I think she'll handle the soft ground better than most as well. So yeah, those are the 3 for me this weekend.
So that very profitable combination of Owen Burrows and Jim Crowley as well. So Sam, he makes good cases for his 3, does Declan? Where are you looking?
He must have been reading my notes, Kate, because I'm in complete agreement on the nap, Declan. So we both need our heads testing.
Yeah.
The form just reads great, doesn't it, with Jerry Colombo? And I think you can forgive the run last time. And I just wonder if you can lead him a bit of a merry dance here against some slightly softer opposition. I do like the likes of That's All Right Gino, but he's had a very long campaign. This will be, I think, his 8th or 9th run of the season. So I'm more than happy to be siding with Nicky Henderson's runner there. My next best is going to be Kitty's Light. Of Exude why I think this horse is well handicapped, and I really would be surprised if he's not in the frame, let's be perfectly honest, but at 9-2 he's a win bet for me. And then my outsider of the sort of long shot, if you like, is going to be in the Spring Cup, which usually is quite a deep field race, but this year I think we're really seeing the pain of these good sort of older horses being sold abroad now, and it usually goes to a 4-year-old. Great, drawn low as well in the last 2 years. Great Max ticks the box, a 20-1 outsider for Ammo Racing. Alice Haynes is in really good form at the moment, 5 winners, I think 30% strike rate in the last 2 weeks. And you know, this horse had a bit of a checkered history, very highly tried at 2, and then obviously went to Ireland and just lost his way a little bit, I think it's fair to say. But I thought 20-1 was just a big price that will probably shorten, and you're going to get a few extra places on the day.
When do you ever see an Ammo Racing horse, especially the start of this season, at 20-1 as the outsider of the field? So definitely take a note of that one in the Spring Cup. Now, my own best bets for the weekend, my nap is going to be in the Fred Darling. I'm siding with Swing Along for the experience angle. I just think it's a wide open race, and her price was just not what I was expecting to get, considering for me she sets the standard for the others to have to come up and meet, and I'm not concerned about the step up in trip for her either to the 7 furlong, so she'll be the main play. My next best bet is going to be Anna Bonina to hopefully win the Scottish Champion Hurdle for the 2nd year running. She's a really likeable type. I hope she's not ridden all that far forwards, but again, I just think 8-1's a very fair price for her, for all that she is having to win this off of a £12 higher mark than last year. But I think she's actually coming here in better form. Spring is just the time of year for her, but she's been able to prolong that better form coming into this after that really solid effort in the county hurdle last time out. And another horse we've already spoken about for my long shot, Elvis Mail in the Scottish Grand National at 18-1 then. So at least one of us is retaining the faith of a long shot play for this race on the back of his win last time out after he made amends for his unseat at the Cheltenham Festival on his penultimate start. Hopefully the ground won't get too quick for him, but we know that he goes so well at this track. So Elvis Mail for me. That is everything from us on this week's show. Big thank you to Declan and Sam for all of their hard work as per usual. Thank you so much to you for watching. Best of luck with your bets this weekend, and do remember you can get all of your betting information on the attheraces.com website and the ATR app. We'll be back next week where we'll be previewing the final day of the Punchestown Festival as well as Sandown's finale, so you really don't want to miss that.